News from the world. Bulletin 1939. With Hitler at it again, world leaders assure us that he has no ill intent and there will never be another war in Eastern Europe. In entertainment news, a crackling adaptation of Steinbeck's latest novel hits the silver screen, and audiences delight in watching the horrors of the Depression replayed before their very eyes. Bulletin 1997. As religious and ethnic troubles in Yugoslavia continue, world leaders assure us that there is nothing to worry about, and there will never be another war in Eastern Europe. In entertainment news, uproarious if confused laughter can be heard coming out of movie theaters. Eat your heart out, Stuart Little. We've got Nathan Lane on the brain. We watched Of Mice and Men and Mousehunt.
Ah, the French champagne.
Champagne!
The schlocky movie from this week may be the schlockiest film we've ever seen on this podcast.
I'm Mr. Pink.
Sis Blue.
So Miranda hasn't seen Reservoir Dogs.
Those men's children are all identical clones of Adolf Hitler.
Once they were men, now they are land crabs.
Amanda Bynes is a national treasure.
There's like a bunch of other shit that happens in Driven.
Is there?
Secret Nazis.
Yeah.
Secret Nazis.
And Daddy lost his eagle.
I hope
So-
no one from my family listens to this podcast.
The Citizen Kane of the week is... Lordy, lordy, lord. Welcome back to another righteous edition of the Church of Kane, Citizen Kane versus. I am Jack Rennie, Father Jack Rennie, joined by my just one regular friend this week,
Sean Jacqueline.
Brother Sean, hello.
Hello.
And joined by special guest this week, Adam Reid. Welcome to the church, Adam.
Praise be.
Praise be. So happy to have Adam back again. If you're familiar with the podcast, Adam was with us when we did our Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan versus Star Wars 2, Attack of the Clones, I believe, right? That's what it all...
Inspired choices.
Inspired choices.
I apologize for that.
Hey, a lot worse Star Wars has come out since that we dropped that episode. So like Attack of the Clones is one of the good Star Wars films.
Ooh, that's a big debate. I'm writing that down as an idea. We need to do a podlet on old Star Wars versus new. And I think there's a deep combo to have there. Adam, I'd love to have you back, just to debate in terms of prequels versus, I'm going to call them requels. who really comes out on top. But sorry, go ahead.
We should also do a podlet to finally solve which is better, Star Trek or Star Wars. I think we are the ones to officially end that debate.
Yeah. Just like no guys on the internet have really tackled that issue.
No one's talked about it.
Yeah. But that's not what we're tackling this week. This week we have two movies. Mouse themed movies. This is a good one because the connection is purely in the title, and it's not even like the same version of the word. It's like it's mouse and mice, but it's to have these two movies together means this is truly unique content. You're not going to find these two movies being compared in this way anywhere else on any podcast with an overall boxing church theme. So welcome back. And so if you're not familiar, and if you're catching on what I'm saying already, what we do here on Citizen Kane Versus is that we take one movie that's more of a classic and we put it up against another movie that's more schlocky, and then we debate which one is truly the Citizen Kane of the two. And we do this in a way that is very it's scientific, I would argue. It's rigorous.
Yep.
And it's at the end
We
of the
are
day,
in no way inebriated when we watch these films too.
never
Ever.
Never.
Or when you record the podcast.
Or when we record the podcast.
So Adam, you had some input in bringing these films together. Was there any particular inspiration behind that?
I mean, I was heard about the premise of this podcast and started listening to some of the episodes and been chatting with Sean, that coming up with movie pairings just in and of itself is a really fun activity. And I was trying to think, okay, well, what are the most ridiculous tie-ins that you could find? And and I'd somewhere down the line, I had a VHS, I think, of Mousehunt when I was growing up as a kid, and I unfortunately watched it like probably 5, 6, 7, 8 times, and I have
I'm pretty sure I watched it once or twice with you at your place. Probably.
Yeah.
I've also seen this movie like 10 times as a kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It must have been like a cheap
97?
bargain bin.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll get into it later, but it actually did really well at the box office. But yeah, so then just somehow that movie popped in my head, and I thought, what could pair with this schlocky comedy thing? So it wasn't Of Mice and Men that got in there first.
It was like, how do I get Mousehunt
on the
podcast? Oh, I guess Of Mice and Men. Yeah, that's fine.
I guess.
Yeah.
Good to I'd never seen Of Mice and Men. I've heard it referenced like 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
It's the kind of thing that like throughout, like I feel like like Simpsons and Futurama and Family Guy and South Park kind of genres. This is the kind of thing you'll hear reference to.
I've heard people say that, oh, you really Lenny'd that up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Lenny becomes a verb.
That's like a really intellectual way of saying something rather rude. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's like you have to like have like a knowledge of American literature.
Yeah. Red Steinbeck.
You'd be like, you're a moron, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So, well, no, I have questions, but
all right,
I have so many questions for the two of you this week, I think.
Sure.
But I want to jump in with like a couple fun facts about Mousehunt that are besides the fact that I've seen it, and when the music played, it was like an immediate throwback. I was like, oh shit, right, this movie. But a couple of funny things, because like this is gonna come up more in production, but they used a bunch of real mice and a real cat. Like there's a lot of practical animals being used. Do either of you want to guess how many trained mice,
shit.
or how many, just not even trained, but just how many mice were
How many mice were used? How many real mice?
Real mice.
I'm going to say 19.
Okay.
32.
Ooh.
The answer is 60.
60 mice?
60 trained mice.
They've got a
how
good
long does a
fucking
mouse
union.
live for? Like there might have been mice that didn't
Right.
survive
They
the
live
length
for a
of
long
production.
time.
They do it, right? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Can you
But
imagine?
like, I'm sure there are some, there are restrictions with animals working on professional film sets, and like, I bet some mice are the ones that are trained to eat things, and some mice are the ones that are trained to jump on things, and some mice get chased by cats, and so so they're very specialized, eh?
For sure, it was like you're probably exactly right that like each mouse knew a task.
Yeah.
I didn't wait very long to see if at the end of the credits they had the no animals were harmed in the making of this production. So hopefully there weren't 60 mice for other reasons.
Can you imagine they had to give like an honest report, and it was like, unfortunately 4 mice totally died because they're mice and they like ran under
It was
table.
an Alec Baldwin set.
Oh,
Ooh.
he hates mice. That's why that joke is so
that's
rough. But also, not all the shots are of mice.
Oh.
Apparently, like filming, like getting filming a mouse close up. It's that funny thing with like film, right? Like what you think, like just go up close on it, and then it'll look like close up, and it somehow doesn't look like the thing anymore, like what camera can do. So they use rats sometimes as well, just so
Interesting.
like for the proportion works better for certain shots.
Yeah, I get that. I can see that now. Sometimes that I would be like, oh, that's a really big mouse or something like that. But
yeah, exactly.
Rats.
But like rats and mice look different, so
rats are bigger.
So I wonder if they had to like color Like, and I feel like their fur is usually darker than a mouse.
Yeah, get it
So
in
I
the
wonder if
chair
someone
at
had to,
6:30
like,
in the morning.
yeah, powder its fur.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
They had a
imagine
special makeup artist just for
The 60
rodents.
mice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what kind of work do you do in the industry?
Well,
I make rodents look like other rodents.
yeah.
Okay, wow, that's nice. It's a really like non-transferable credit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's hard to be like to get future jobs after that one. Sean, did you have something?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to ask you, Jack, and Adam, maybe you know this too. You
Oh.
probably. So we've seen Burgess Meredith, the actor who played George in Of Mice and Men. We've seen him on the pod. Can you name the movie and character and role?
Burgess Meredith, who played George.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna want a question to hone in on it.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Is he the movie that he's in? Is it like later in time? Like, is he an old man in the movie that we watched?
He is.
Okay. I thought so. And yet I still
That eliminates nothing.
which season? Do you know that?
Our first season, I believe.
Frick.
Yeah. Any guess? Ding, ding, ding.
When did we do planes? No, the one against Rat Race.
Oh, Mad World. That was second season.
Damn it! That would have
Good
been
guess, though. Good
that
guess.
would've been one of my
Alright.
guesses.
Adam,
And
do you
I
have
feel
any
like I feel
thoughts?
like he could have been in like Bad Santa for all I know. But
My only guess was the Christmas movie that I've never seen that everyone has seen, Miracle on 34th Street. Is that it?
That'd be a good guess too.
But yeah, I'm coming up blank.
It's Rocky, and he plays the trainer.
oh yeah.
Yeah, you're a bum. You know?
There it is.
Yeah,
That makes total sense.
that's fun. My other fun fact is
Oh.
the scene in Mousehunt where their father is dying. I was like, where did they get this guy? And we'll get further into it. But he's an old actor, and he was one of the founding instructors at the HB studio in New York, the like school where method acting started and took off. And he was a teacher there, and he used to keep a bottle of whiskey at his desk so that when bad actors were up, he would just sit back and drink.
Good. And he, this movie had an in memory of him.
Yes, he died before it was brought out. Yeah.
Yeah, very method.
So method, right?
Very method.
Yeah.
Committed to the craft.
He's very committed to the role. He was like, and one day I'll get a role when I'm older where I'm a dying old man and I'm going to die for real.
die.
So kudos to him. Oh my goodness. Well, those seem like fun enough facts.
You having fun yet?
Yeah, fun.
I have a mini fun fact, and
Ooh,
you
yeah.
guys probably already know the answer, but Steinbeck took the title of Mice and Men. Where he pulled that line from, it's a quote from a piece of poetry.
It's a Robert
Curious if you
Burns
guys
poem.
Robbie
named
Burns.
To a Mouse.
Yeah.
I think the full title is To a Mouse on Turning Her Up in Her Nest with the Plow.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I think I might have read that for the opening of one of our pod episodes when I read that random Robert Burns poem. It might have been this one.
It might have been.
The best laid plans of mice and men go off to glee. Something. Yeah.
As he said, something. Well, fantastic. I'm sure people are curious enough. So let's get some intros so people know a little bit more about our two contenders for the day.
In the red corner, representing the classics, a smooth-talking fella and his big, simple, gentle companion try to eke out enough money to buy a piece of land in a Depression-era United States that seems to have no room for big dreams or broken things. coming in at 111 minutes of Mice and Men. And in the blue corner, representing the schlock, two down-on-their-luck brothers inherit a dud of a string factory and a decrepit old house that turns out to be a long-lost design of a famous architect. Have they struck gold, or will a god-like mouse channeling some serious Home Alone vibes push them to the end of their wits? Coming in at 98 minutes, Mousehunt!
Fantastic. Now, let's just jump right in with our first round, which is story. Good?
Ooh.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Was
of course.
that deafening?
Daniel can fix it in post.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get it, Dan.
Edit. Get it, Daniel, right there. Daniel,
Dan's-
right now.
Dan's on a mission for the church this week, which is why he's not with us today.
He's trying to browbeat Carrie Elwes into joining our religion.
Yeah.
I hear Tom Cruise is maybe done with his whole.
Ooh,
other
we'll take his
religion, so
investment.
we can maybe bring him in.
Okay.
The tabloids are saying something about it. I don't know.
So my main question, of Mice and Men, clearly has, like, we did Grapes of Wrath
Yes.
on this pod,
Very similar movie and story.
similar movie and story, kind of the.
Is that also Steinbeck?
It certainly
is?
seems like it,
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Ah, there we go.
and like, where there's a higher meaning to it all. It's definitely commentary. I think it's like very clearly commentary. Can someone tell me what it is? I'm a smart fella, but like I don't fucking know can you fill in the gaps of.
I can
like,
give you
help me.
my interpretation. Adam, perhaps you can help me as well, because you've probably read
Sure.
the book, I assume. You enjoyed
I
the
have.
reading. Yeah.
Yeah.
But just from I haven't read the book. From my interpretation of seeing this film, it seems to me a commentary of...
Because it's not shoot the mentally ill, right? Like, that's not the point.
No, it is related. I think it is how humanity under duress can other people so drastically that it leads to these things happening, and it is the act of being in stress yourself during an incredibly stressful time like the Depression, and nothing is good for anybody, and how that causes humanity to become selfish and antagonistic is my guess. Adam?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great read on it. Like, I know it comes off maybe a bit stronger in the novel and in the 1992, the newer film version. That, like, the way that oh my goodness, what's her name? The wife. Is it Candy or I forget the guy's name. He has a nickname.
Yeah, his name is
Candy.
Candy.
Yeah. So how his wife is kind of like othered and like treated really poorly by everyone on the and everyone just like says like, oh, you're crazy, you're nothing but trouble.
May is the
May.
character name. Yeah.
Right. And Candy's the old guy without a hand.
Yes.
Right.
And Curly is the evil
Curly.
man.
Yeah, the fighter.
Yeah.
And like the I think not Skip, but the black man on the ranch and how he's put aside in his own home, and like so when we meet the boss at the beginning, how the boss is like I'm working, and like super not like that thing of the owner versus the employee and the I think you're right, Sean. Like it is like that if you're put in a corner, like there, like no matter how much he's tried to look after Lenny and like take care, like eventually it's like, well, the world we live in like doesn't allow me to actually like care about other people.
And it makes a direct comparison between the dog and and Lenny.
Oh yeah, that's very clear.
Very clear. And the entire scene, you are looking at all these people. The entire scene with the dog, where this narrative is set up. You are looking at these people who are all collectively making a choice to either stay silent or support the euthanizing of this animal, merely because their lives are shit already, and it is one more thing they have to deal with. And like,
and mainly just like that one guy.
yeah,
Do you
well,
know what
that
I
guy,
mean?
he's definitely the cheerleader, but Slim is like you.
Yeah,
It's
he's
better
like,
for him if you put him down, and everyone else is silent.
Yeah,
Which is tacit support for what's going on.
yeah, for the energy in that direction.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's definitely 1-to-1. Like that's definitely the thing that's like, I think, impossible to miss watching these movies is the connection between the dog and Lenny, where it's like it's better this way.
Yeah.
And like for them, and it's almost like because like this world is terrible, like just let them go.
His life will be pain unless it ends.
Yeah.
It will be
And-
constant pain he cannot fathom.
Yeah. And there's this like thing of like there's a side to it too that I feel like there's the difference between man as man and man as animal.
Mhm.
Right? That like Lenny is treated like an animal, and he's like one of the beasts. He's like a bestial version of man, that
Yeah.
he loves animals. He likes to play with them and pet them. Like that's what because those are his people, is kind of like what it's trying to tell us. Whereas I think Candy, without a hand, there's a point where he says like he wishes that if he couldn't work anymore or something like that, that he would just want to be put down.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
But-
right.
But he says like but I can't do that or something. You know what I mean? There's this kind of logic that there's
Yeah.
like, because he's a man, he doesn't get that gift, that privilege, where an animal just gets to peace out when they no longer serve the world.
That's interesting, because I did read the poem before we started today, and the final verse is Robert Burns saying, "Oh, I've destroyed your home. Your life is in shambles, and you're horrified right now. But you only live in the present. Man is burdened with a task of living with a past and with a projected future."
Yeah.
And okay, so that like comes across loud and clear in this film. Then
Lenny is a dog. His whole thing is that he can't remember like what happened the day before. And so it's like it's like a gift that, so he's having a pretty good time more than others.
yeah,
Well, and George, like, oh, he'll do what you tell him, you know.
Yeah.
He's made, but you tell him what to do, and he'll do it.
kicked by a horse when he was 12, was it? Or something?
Yeah, I wondered
10?
if that was true or if that was just
or if
what
it
he
was
told
a
him.
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. He has been.
So
I believe he was his cousin.
I think it is true. Because I know, like, you couldn't really. There wasn't anything like, you couldn't see an injury or like a scar or anything like that. But I think the description of the character in the novel and the way he was portrayed in the newer film, there was like some scarring and stuff, and like a bit of a like something
Oh,
with
I
one of
see.
his, like, his face was a little bit
Disfigured.
not
That
like
would've-
a lot, but like
Right.
that there was a little bit of a
okay.
well, something. That's smart.
Regardless, like that's the way he is now.
So it's a really happy, cheery movie.
Yeah, and like the parallel, it wants it to read like it's a thing of the past, right? Like this depression thing where it's like, if I could just get me some property, then my life will be good. You know, as soon as I get some property, then we'll be good. And like that's what people say today.
Yeah.
Like, to be
Capitalism
clear,
hasn't changed.
that like I know lots of people who are like not having a great time. They're getting by, but they will say with a little twinkle in their eyes, but if I can just get some property, you know, then then I
It'll
feel like,
all
you
be
know,
fine.
if I can just rent out, I can just rent that out and it'll pay itself off. And then after that, you know, I can use that to mortgage and get another piece of property. And then from there, you know, it's like everyone, there's still like that dream around land.
Yeah. And it's not new. It has been around at least since the 30s, we found out. But
Hey.
like, how many paupers on the streets of London were walking around in like, you know, Victorian England, being like, someday I'll get an estate of my own. You just watch and see.
Yeah. And they did.
Yep, they did. Happily ever after.
Well, speaking of foolish people in England
property.
and property, I guess they're not really English, but
No.
Lee Evans is British. That's all I'm
Right.
thinking about.
Right.
It feels like a British farce. Mousehunt. I'm trying to segue into Mousehunt. Is what I'm doing. How am I doing?
Terribly.
It's working.
about as well as some of the slapstick comedy went over in Mousehunt.
Yeah.
I feel like I just pushed a mattress through a door widthwise with that segue.
It's slapped back.
You chased a fedora out into the street as it.
Oh my god! That moment, I was like, "Oh, so now you're a whimsical European film."
Right?
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like the muted trumpet is like,
And the Belgian hair models are
Yeah.
waving and giggling at you.
yeah. I was like, "What is this film?" So, also, what is this film? It has. Go ahead. Go.
Oh no, I have nothing. Go.
I was gonna say, it has this. It has the thing that I admittedly struggle with. It's a genre. There's a genre of comedy. Well, they're kind of linked. There's one genre, like The Simpsons used to do this sometimes, or it was like Homer's dumb, so he messes things up. It's tough for me to enjoy. It was not always my genre of thing, or just like, oh, they keep messing it up. In a similar vein, like to say, like, I messed it up and it's funny, but I don't always find people just being like incapable or inept
No.
funny.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just frustrating. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it breaks through that, and I go, "Ha, that is pretty funny," because the performer does it well. You know, Lee Evans having his clothing being unsewn from him is partly made decent by his doing of it and his faces and stuff like that, you know. But and just like a movie that's just like, and then 45 instances of bad luck mixed with, and then it starts feeding into itself. Like it's a lot.
Yes.
And so tonally, this story feels the need to continue ramping it up into a full cartoon, right? It becomes literally like Tom and Jerry references, like Under the Carpet and like all this kind of stuff. That
Across the piano with the piano keys going and the cat and the mouse jumping out.
yeah. And then the introduction of Christopher Walken as like a full like Elmer Fudd.
That's
like-
true. Oh my god, that's true. It's a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
It becomes a full cartoon,
Yeah.
right? Also, I detest cockroach humor.
Cockroach
Fair.
humor?
Like literally, we're a cockroach.
Oh.
I remembered that, like, seeing this movie was a real throwback, as I've seen it a number of times, and it was just hard to watch. I was actually eating at the time.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
I remember that specific scene, like that. If that was the one that has been lodged into my subconscious somehow, of the him eating the cockroach, and watching it again now, yeah, it's pretty gross.
I had when Christopher Walken is introduced in his brilliant cameo, I'm going to say,
Yeah.
but we'll get to that. And he starts analyzing the feces. This little voice in my head was like, "You've seen this before. Something's wrong. Something's really wrong right now. Why? Okay, my heart's beating a little faster. I'm feeling a little nauseous. What's going? Oh, he eats the poop. I remember this. He eats the poop. I'm disgusted."
these like these like deep traumas that this movie left in all of us from our childhoods. Like, he does eat the poop, and it's still not as bad as the fact that the guy spits the half cockroach back up onto the table and it crawls away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did like that his name was Mayor McCrinkle though.
Yes.
I thought that was pretty clever little writing on.
It is a brilliant world, I'm going to say, that the movie weaves together. I think it's very Tim Burton-esque in its style, but it is done with more of an irreverence. Whereas Tim Burton, I think, is very like, oh, my art is so serious and everything is meaningful. This movie was like, no, it's just kind of silly and dark, but like silly mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is like dark. Yeah. It's rather dark. Like I made a note, sorry, of when they're describing, so because it starts with their father dying. That's like the beginning of it. It really is about that. And then it says, they're like, oh yeah, you get this house. And they're like, what? Never heard of it. And like, yeah, apparently the previous owner was found locked in a trunk in the attic. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like,
and then what? A couple minutes later, the mayor dies, choking on a cockroach and having a heart attack.
Yeah, I was like, wait, he
deaths.
dies? Like, we've had a death. We've had the description of someone on their way to having a horrible death in that trunk, but being found somehow. To the mayor dying. We see him being a failed resuscitation in the ambulance. Mm-hmm. But they apparently enjoyed that trunk reference so much that that's what happens to Christopher Walken.
Yeah. Well, and it would have happened to Charles Lyle LaRue, the designer of the house, if he hadn't, I guess, been put in an institution.
Yeah.
After building it.
So are we supposed to root for the mouse?
Is this mouse like an all-knowing being that has merely, like, is it the god Loki that is trapped in mouse form or something?
Like, is it their father somehow too? Because he eats the string.
Oh, that's true. That's it.
Yeah, I was like, when you realize that, okay, so the original owner was locked in a box in the attic, which then happened to the exterminator, and the architect was, if the house was built in 1876, are you implying that like this mouse has been living in this house for like over a century?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And it's just like this Eldritch like horror that just like manipulates, like, and you go into its domain, and then it's like, it's so strange.
It does. To be fair to the mouse, we are given a reason as to why its chaos goes from being merely like for food and just have a few laughs to full-on destructive murder rampage. Because they destroy his home. He has his lovely little bedroom with his little sardine can bed and his Hawaiian luau poster that he looks at every night before bed.
Yeah,
and
which is a bit weird.
Obliterated.
Yeah.
I feel really bad for him.
And Walken says to the mouse, "You're the intruder."
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right?
To them, yeah.
So, but I remember even as a kid thinking that the mouse, like, I was like, oh, I think that what I got from it as a kid was that the mouse was their dad.
Right.
Like, because that painting keeps moving and it seems like it brings them back to the factory. Like, that's its goal.
Right.
For this movie.
Or like, does the dad know about the mouse? And he's put them up to this so that this will happen.
Like that they'll get killed, like they'll lock themselves in trunks.
They'll die. That he wants to murder his children.
He wants to murder his kids. So that was admittedly something that, because like the ending is very shoehorned. The ending is like, well, the house is gone now, so I guess we can just let it be gone, like let it be done. And now they're friends, and the mouse.
He helps them make a new product.
Yeah.
String cheese. No one's ever thought of it.
I guess not. So I guess we'll never know. Let us know what you think. Who is the mouse? Eldritch god, their father, the architect. Does it capture various souls through its life, and that's how it extends its life? That sounds eldritch. I think it's good.
Yeah, it's quite eldritch.
Well, I'm glad we got to the bottom of all the meanings in these movies. Let us now adjourn for a brief potential commercial break. See you soon. All right, let's get back to it, huh? No wasting time. Let's go. Round 2. Production. Good? I'm so used to Dan doing that. I have to remember to pick up my phone.
Yeah. We love you, Dan.
Their production wise, we sort of got into Mousehunt, and it made me think about like that it has this dark kind of macabre quality to it, and this like but there were some things that were just so like the city pound was like something out
Oh my
of Brazil.
God.
Yo,
Like,
yeah.
it was crazy.
Yeah,
It's
what
horrifying.
was that?
I wrote down like does it everything all the evidence of this film is pointing towards this society hating animals, loathing that they exist in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
You know? This really like anti-animal society that we've been dropped into.
And pro string.
Yeah. That pound is horrifying.
It was a very jarring choice. Like, not so disappointed they made it. It's a strong choice. But like, what they're going in and they just have a little girl screaming as she reaches back towards the doors. Being walked away with her mom,
screaming her dog's name. I'm pretty sure.
Like, what the shit? It is wild.
And the guy steps out in a hazmat suit into like a decontamination spread.
What are you doing to those animals?
And then it's like the full warehouse from like it's like where the Ark of the Covenant is stored.
Yeah.
Like stacks and stacks of cages of animals before they get the very lazily named Catzilla.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was disappointing. I thought they'd have LT Gray even would be better, you know?
Yeah, LT Gray would be better, yeah. But just like no wonder that cat is pissed. They keep it in a horrible box.
Yeah. And somehow its limbs are able to, when it punches its arms out of the box to go hunt the mouse, it like that straight up that cat's shoulders and hip joints are dislocated, and it's like pushing its limbs through those holes. That's the only physical way that would happen.
And that's where for sure the movie turns full cartoon. Like to me, the
Yeah.
cat sequence is when the movie is like, oh, we're beyond slapstick now. Now it's Saturday morning cartoons. And it's literally doing like the whole like walking on its tiptoes, like as it's like creeping around.
I was thinking about the linear progression between both of these films, where we have Of Mice and Men and Lon Chaney Jr.'s interpretation of Lenny. Is stereotyped throughout pop culture from that point on, including the Bugs Bunny cartoon with the Yeti, who like, oh, I will love him and I will hold him and I will call him George. That kind of,
yeah.
like directly inspired, and then we get this Bugs Bunny inspired Mousehunt film. So that's like just a complete straight line through those three major works.
You're saying they're both kind of cartoonish, both these movies. Is what
Nope,
you're
they're all related.
Yeah, that's the
That's right.
podcast.
It's a much stronger connection than just mice.
Whoa.
You've delved into my true.
Yeah, I found your
process,
true
Rashad.
motivation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in terms of production, I mean, one film had honestly a host of unique mouse-related, like Logan's Run,
Yeah.
moments that were made with giant, like nails shot through walls with probably a rat in those scenes, running from like like all very interesting, cool stuff, and shots from a mouse.
Practical.
Yeah, practical stuff. And the other movie was so old that to do a pan out, someone had to quickly roll the camera backwards through the barn.
Yeah, but those shots were great. Those shots are amazing.
Yeah, it's cool, but it's like you can tell like you can't zoom in or zoom out with the camera.
Well, also
so they're just running backwards.
I don't know if they're running, because the camera equipment would have been like 300 or 400 pounds probably then. I think
Oh shit.
it would have been stupid heavy and like really fragile, because normally you stick the camera on rails to do those kinds of shots, and you zoom in manually like that, which they fully had. But because I was wondering as the shots were happening, like, oh, we're not seeing the rails as we're pulling out or as we're zooming in. We should really see these rails. So they must have built this contraption that could hold the camera out. This like fragile, heavy fucking camera could hold it off to the side from the rails so that it could slide in and out without seeing the rails in the shot.
Right.
Something like that. I guess.
Something like that.
I
So,
love
you know-
all the shots in between the bunk beds, or like there was a couple times. I think there was maybe one during the like after the dog had been shot and Candy was like walking back to his like bunk bed and like was going to just like have a cry.
Yeah.
That it panned out in between the bunk beds, and there was a few of those shots where they'd use like a window frame or the bunks, and they would kind of like the lines of force on the top and the bottom of like the grid would kind of be reinforced with the bunk beds, and I thought those shots were really cool.
Yeah. There's also this is the stage play script.
Yes.
And I believe Lon Chaney Jr. played Lenny. I don't know if Burgess Meredith played George on the stage, but
It said it was Candy, I believe, that actor.
was it Candy? Oh,
who,
that
who,
actor.
Who
Okay.
it said like on loan from the
Gotcha.
Playhouse.
Okay, so maybe it's him.
Yeah.
But the one scene that I totally was like, shit, if I saw this in the theater, I would melt down because that's so phenomenal what you've just achieved. Everyone runs out of the bunkhouse to go watch the fight. You've forgotten that Candy is in his bunk having a cry, as you just mentioned, Adam. Completely forgot he was there. And he's molded, camouflaged in with the bed sheets and stuff, and they're talking about their future together, and you just see him slowly roll out and start listening to their conversation, and you're not sure how, like, is he there to snitch or is he genuinely interested? That would be so cool to see live, to have that little sleight of body, I guess.
A sleight of body.
Yeah.
Dang.
Beautiful.
So, like, no question of Mice and Men, like, makes the best of simple means comparative to now, certainly to now, and also to when Mousehunt was made. You know, it's tricky though because Mousehunt, like, I think to me where it shines is actually in the production.
Yes.
Even the bits like that I go like, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm like, you just did it quite well though. Like there's a lot of fun stuff and done very practically. When I think about actually how they had to do it, how they set up a whole under the lake thing that Nathan Lane could crash into and sink down and land in the tub and have a moment with the poster.
Have the full
Like,
Bugs Bunny moment. Yeah.
Yeah, full Bugs Bunny moment. And to do that all practically and everything, like that can't be easy.
No.
You know? And breaking those stairs, like smashing those stairs.
And collapsing a house.
And they collapsed the house.
They collapsed a house.
Like it's outstanding, and having the water burst through the walls, like it really is. It's something that I'm always saying on the podcast that I would love to see more of in films now. Like this film almost has too much.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a lot. There's a lot of practical effects. So much that the CG mouse effects and stuff kind of blend in because there is so much.
I agree that they managed to hold up fine.
Yep.
And because it's like the world they're stylized a bit as well.
Yeah.
I found that like thinking about the camera work and like all the things they set up, like I agree with that sentiment that like tracking the mouse and like at things blowing up, but sometimes I found the shots following the mouse, and like there was one in particular where the mouse jumped and like swung on like a light bulb string and then like crossed over together. So every once in a while these little scenes of them, I just kind of, I don't know, I got a little bit like, okay, I'm watching a mouse run around.
Because there's so much of it. There's
cool.
so much of running around. This movie was it was like 98 minutes or something, which is short enough, but it probably could have been like an hour 20 if you cut down some of the extraneous mouse stuff.
Well, because it's relentless.
Yeah.
Miranda was out and she came back to catch like the last 30 minutes. And she was like, this is a crazy movie. And was like kind of like having a laugh at it. And I was like,
and you were exhausted.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, if you had just, you have to understand, like, this has been happening nonstop for 60 minutes before you got here.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean. Like, I wish that the story could have been a bit stronger. Right. And so that those production moments could shine more. Yeah. Because like, it's pretty famous, actually, like the whole mouse trap shot. Like, it's a decently well-known shot of all them rolling through all the mouse traps and all of them going off and everything. Yeah. It's an amazing shot. Those were all real mouse traps that really went off. It's a crazy thing that they did. They all were like wired underneath the floor, apparently.
Really? I was wondering how they did that.
Because they go off in this like amazing wave across the floor.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense why they roll in it, but whatever. Like, it's an incredible shot. Like, it really does look amazing. And yeah,
Adam,
but it's kind of pointless.
Would you like to talk a bit about Aaron Copland?
Yeah, sure. Well, I had some music thoughts for both of these films, but it was pretty amazing to discover that Aaron Copland had done the soundtrack for Of Mice and Men. Because for anyone who doesn't know Aaron Copland, he's an American composer, and kind of in the early 20th century in Europe and America, kind of like all over the world, there's this big thing where composers would collect folk music and bring it into classical composition. And it was happening with Bartók in Eastern Europe, it was happening with Vaughan Williams in the UK, and it was happening with Aaron Copland maybe just a little bit later in America. So he took all these, like fiddle music, Western folk music, and brought it into orchestrated classical stuff. And I mean, he has an incredible oeuvre. He's got some pretty amazing music. So
we would say oeuvre. We would say that.
I think I have.
Yeah. All right. I think certainly what Ernie, the French restaurant chef, would say oeuvre.
Right.
But it was interesting. None of the music really, like, I wasn't able to hum like a theme or anything like that after Of Mice and Men. But as certain moments happened, I was just like, wow, like that was an incredible musical moment. But I guess maybe just at the time, like, the soundtrack, like, didn't really operate or like act the same way that movie soundtracks do later on, right? Like, it didn't cue specific moments or in the same way. Like, there wasn't like all of a sudden something goofy is going to happen.
Yeah.
When we have a little,
as we have with Alan Silvestri's score in Mousehunt.
Yeah, big time.
Who, like, the score for that is pretty fun too, honestly. The like mouse theme.
But some of the moments were so like, some of the musical cues were just totally like, didn't, like, the first moment they step into the house, all of a sudden we immediately get comedic and it's like, what? I don't understand. This movie isn't really funny. It's just kind of scary and depressing. And the slapstick stuff hasn't even really started en masse yet, but so yeah, but the theme song with that bassoon at the beginning, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. That theme is fun. I did notice that Copland, he kind of wrote in there are some motifs going, even though it's not full opera. We don't get the full like character motifs for everyone, but Lenny did have his own kind of like theme that would come up in specific moments, and I think other characters did. Fucking Curly, I think he had his own kind of like, at least it was like, oh, here's Curly's music,
Had a little leitmotif.
A little leitmotif.
We love those.
There was one bit where I think it was the Lenny. It was a familiar motif that we'd heard before, and there was just this extra little like behind it. That like, and it was just this sinister as things started to kind of go wrong near the end. That was really cool.
I think here's how I think I'd put it for these two movies. And one is that Of Mice and Men was more clearly scored. Like, the music is tailored more for the film. It's kind of just like you said, Adam. And so the kind of things that had been used would be reused, but changed for that moment and that kind of thing, while also having really smart moments of like silence that we've talked about in the film. Because I think isn't the whole sequence about shooting the guy's dog in silence?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Like, I think it's just like the dead space, so you can really hear how no one's
talking.
speaking up to say, "Hey, let him keep his dog. We all love
What-
dogs here."
What does
Like,
it harm you? Yeah.
Yeah, no one's saying. It's like, let's just let things live, and
Waiting for the gunshot.
yeah,
Oh,
waiting, and
velocity.
this kind of stuff. Yeah, like this very, it's that thoughtfulness was there, whereas Mousehunt had I think this theme is wonderful, and apparently it was so popular it was like plagiarized again and again and again. Like it was not, but I think like it was purchased and reused, like, and adapted. Like it was used in other comedies after Mousehunt, and other themes, but like slightly adapted because it was so popular. Like
I've heard like concert bands play it,
yeah,
Yeah.
like it's like one of the things I kind of read before this podcast is that like in the end that theme has lasted longer than the movie. Like it's more popular than the movie actually. Because like I said, that was the thing that I started watching this, that theme came in and I was like, oh. Right, Mousehunt. So it had that wonderful theme, but it wasn't tailored to the movie. It was just stuck in to places. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't.
Yeah.
It didn't have that extra layer of like really being scored to the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to shout out, I think the scene that stands out from both films for me the most is the dinner scene with Curly, his wife, May, and the property owner, when I don't think it's scored, or if it's scored, it's just at the beginning. And so it's mostly silent, and it's just the eating sounds of a silent dinner and everything that is held back. I love Inglourious Bastards for the scene where they're having in the restaurant and they're eating the like pastry with the cream, and this is that exact vibe. Like obviously Tarantino has seen this film and just pulled that vibe for that, as they take a half a pie each and then fill their bowl with cream, and the sounds of mushing pie together with cream as they're slopping it into their mouths.
Just like eating with their mouths open, like like gnashing away.
And that set exactly the character dynamic between this poor woman who's forced to exist with all of these fuckheads.
So really the real theme was gross eating for both these movies.
Yeah. I see what you did.
See, now I have control of the timer.
You can shoehorn.
Oh yeah, we can get little zingers out.
Zing,
zing. Yeah, cool. That's actually really cool insights about these movies. I'd say they're both quite wonderful in various ways for their production, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Like thumbs up for both.
Hey, way to go, films.
Yeah.
Which is going to make it tough, like to decide about
This is tough.
who gets the points for these. And that was an accidental thing.
No, round hasn't started yet.
No, sorry about that, but it's
Oh
about
my
to.
God.
I'm about to do that again.
Daniel leaves and we all fall to hell.
I know. But to segue into our next round, I'm going to say this might be the hardest round, even in anticipation of talking about it, of also this one, which is our third round. Acting. Did they do it all right?
Yeah, this is fucking tough.
It's a tough one.
It is. These films, I applaud the selection of these films for, even though they thematically don't really have anything to do with each other other than like people's plans fall to shit.
And like the theme of believing there's something good just around the corner.
There's something better, sure, yeah. And
you know what I mean? That seems to be a thing in both these films.
Like, look, Nathan Lane is a brilliant actor.
He's great. And like Lee Evans screams funny.
Yeah, I was less enchanted with his acting than I was with his stand-up comedy from back in the day.
Sure.
I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's not by no means a bad actor or anything.
No.
Like that.
And you got Walken.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, Walken was.
What a treat.
Yeah, he's a treasure. I mean,
It's when the mouse. The thing about to you, you're the intruder. I'm wondering how. Come back in 2 days. Don't touch my bomb. Like he's just fantastic.
He was doing full walking, and we fully appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what were you gonna say, Adam?
Just Nathan Lane. I feel like when we first meet the character, like I just like didn't buy it, and I just found it just like you're just being obnoxious, and you're almost like a caricature of yourself. Like I'm Nathan Lane doing this thing that Nathan Lane can do well.
That is his thing. That is certainly his thing.
Yeah. But after the first maybe 20 minutes or so, I feel like you really kind of. But I just know when he was introduced, I was like, oh no, I like Nathan Lane, but I'm not sure.
I recall feeling a little similar. I was like, is Nathan not going to try? Is this Nathan just collecting a paycheck? But no, he
turns it around.
He just is the most cartoonish at the beginning because he has to play such a drastic alternative to where his character ends up, so that there's a story there, I guess.
Yeah. I think I 100% agree because Nathan Lane is this kind of person. He is a cartoon. Like that's how we know him. Like if he came in and was doing his weird, serious, dramatic turn, we'd be like,
He played Roy Cohn in Angels in America on Broadway like 4 years ago, I think. I would die to see his Roy Cohn.
Damn. Actually, that sounds kind of awesome. But certainly at this time, at least, he's in like, it wasn't this was around him doing Timon.
Yeah.
Right?
It was
3
like
years after?
3 years, 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and actually, I noted this down. When all the bidders come into the auction, he runs into a bidder who is wearing like kind of traditional African like garb.
He's wearing Middle East. He says Hakuna Matata.
And he says Hakuna Matata.
He does? Oh, I missed that.
Oh, yeah, but it's not to a guy. It's not African. It's Middle Eastern. No. He's like, he's in full like Arabic garb, and then he says to that person,
Arabic is African as well.
You're right. He could be from some places for sure.
But that was.
I'll get into Lee Evans. Like I said before, I think as a cerebral comedian, he's very good. I honestly was not taken with his physical comedy very much. It was fine. It was like, fine. It was just being compared to Nathan Lane's timing, I think, and anyone's gonna lose in that battle.
And that's the thing. Nathan Lane's timing was fantastic, and I think where I started to get on board with Nathan Lane was the restaurant scene, actually, where it was like just do your thing, and his little like playing. I'm a French person when I run a restaurant, and then there's a whole part where the French just totally devolves, and he just says he says bibliothèque and some other random stuff in there.
Yeah, Adam, do you remember what the crazy stuff
it was
saying?
Lobster loaf. It was like the with the lobster loaf de la bibliothèque. Like, it was good.
So that's when I'm like, okay, I'm allowed to. I'm finding my way into this. But then just throughout the movie, his little, just his timing and energy are pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, you have of Mice and Men, you have Candy just making the saddest puppy dog face on a human's face as his puppy dog's about to be killed.
Oh.
And it's a devastating face to look at.
I was in Candy's first scene, he was wearing too much makeup. And he was doing
flour in his hair.
He was doing way too much in the background, and I was like, I was already having a bit of a hard time getting used to this style of acting, as I always do. Yeah. And I saw Candy and was like, shit, this is not gonna go well. But I adjusted shortly after that, and he fucking won my heart by the dog scene.
Yeah.
What about scene? Yeah.
What about the main two? Like, what about Lenny and George?
I mean, like George certainly, or Lenny rather, as I mentioned before, like his performance in this role is now the pop culture performance that is done when you have like a simple person, right?
Yes,
it is the epitome of that. And I don't know whether I don't know what he did to research for this. He'd been in over 50 films before this, but this is his first starring role.
Right.
Yeah.
I was ready for it to be like cringy,
Yeah.
and I will say that it, in my opinion, it wasn't.
No.
Like, it was just it was that a word that I like to think doesn't have a rude connotation to it. It was the playing of someone who is simple.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Whose development was halted immediately at a certain age of childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually how they're treated in the world at that time is kind of interesting. Some people go, "Hey, what's the deal here?" And it can be but then he has a friend who stands up for him and says, "What? He just, he's not hurting you." And they go, "Well, you're right."
Yeah.
And he's allowed to be exceptional as well. He's the strongest superhuman person anyone's ever seen, kind of
He
stuff.
lifts that cart. That was
He
that was a cool moment I didn't mention in production. He lifting the cart and then George grabbing onto the wheel,
Hanging
and you're like,
underneath.
fuck.
Yeah. So I thought the playing of it was fine. I thought at the beginning, same thing. I had to adjust to like George's like, you don't remember where you put your ticket? I got it right here. You think I let you keep it yourself? Hey, what's the bus driver up to? 2 miles off. Gosh,
Yeah, that
like,
mid-Atlantic thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like that tapers off. He becomes more grounded as the movie goes on, right?
Yeah, I would agree for sure.
I like Slim.
Yeah, Slim was excellent.
Slim was good. I was getting pissed off at Slim throughout the film. He is really the epitome of, but that's because he is a good actor, I suppose. The epitome of the authority figure who has the ability to influence things for the better, but chooses not to.
Right.
Put himself at risk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being mad at the character of Slim.
Yeah. Fuck you.
Yeah. This movie, it's funny because like it's also a bit, I'm going to say it's a bit cartoonish as well, actually.
You mean
And
the
that-
pure evil of Curly?
Yeah, like the archetypes, right?
Yeah.
How the owner of the land is a miser.
Yeah.
Like through and through. I think when he goes out, he like has a vest with the pocket watch chain and a big stomach, and he, as we talked about, fucking creams up his pie and goes back to work after dinner.
Never say that again.
Sitting at his desk, just
What,
like,
creams up his pie?
Oh God.
So yeah, so it's very archetypal. And going off of what you said, Sean, about that.
I think if the other actors hadn't have picked up by the time that Curly is introduced, like when they said stay away from him, he just hates guys that are big. I was like, is that in the novel? Because if it is, John Steinbeck, stop.
The Napoleon complex.
I'm pretty sure it is. I
Boo,
mean, I don't know
that's
if it's
boring.
that heavy-handed, but
Boring. I don't like. Nobody hates people because they're big. You know.
yeah. No, I don't know if it's handled a bit better in the source material where it's like, oh, he's just like a little person, but
Right.
like, yes, physically, but also like he, but yeah, I think it is a little bit like that in the source material too.
Yeah.
But I think these archetypes and that whole, like, I know Sean mentioned this, but getting used to the style of acting, and I find like going back and watching like 60s, 70s classic film, it's like, okay, like I got this. But going back and watching like 20s, 30s, 40s stuff, I just find it can be really tough to.
It's a big
like,
shift.
It's almost like theater, but like without the energy of theater.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have the technique of film because it's like not there yet.
Yeah.
Like all these mid shots and like the American shot and like all these, like, very much like we're looking at a proscenium arch and this is just like a staged thing, but it doesn't have the same kind of like energy that theater does.
Yeah. You don't get the traveling close up. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a funny thing. That's a good point about this. I feel like this era of film altogether, in that it is, and it's kind of a tricky thing. And sometimes it's really pleasing. Like sometimes this era hits things that modern film seems to have lost, where like a majority of film actors now have no theater training,
Yeah.
right? A majority. I think that's safe to say at this point, right? And maybe not no, but not any
They didn't
significance.
spend 3 years training for the stage before they went and tried to become movie stars. They
Yeah.
just were like taking acting classes on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not just like training, but like the difference of training to do it and also like doing it a bit. Like
Yeah.
actually like hacking it out in front of people right in front of you, right?
Which you can tell with every single person in Of Mice and Men is like, you are a stage performer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And other people we've seen of this era, they just there's, and so sometimes it leads to brilliant moments. They just know how to like give a feeling or a look in a way that is just incredible to watch. It doesn't need any effects, right? Whereas like so much of stuff now is like about effects to hide acting. And
Are
acting
you thinking
is
of a particular moment from Of Mice and Men, or?
just I mean I'm just like remembering, as I mentioned before, just like again, just like Candy's expressions sometimes were just like, yeah, just like so captivating.
Yeah. It's the nine inches of makeup he was wearing.
Yeah, exactly. So
Well, I think
yeah.
I was saying, John. Like, wait, where's Jack? John,
Yes.
I read your. your
Oh, yeah, it says
Zoom-
John Rennie.
Zoom
It
says
does.
John. It's like, wait a minute, that's not. That the I like because the tech. Oh, the
Nope.
tech isn't there to do it.
Yo,
yet.
keep going,
That-
keep going, keep going.
Oh, that's
that you can do like there's lots of long shots, right? And like the set is there, the scene is established, everything is dressed ready to go, and like at the camera's back we see everything, like, and the shots, and I think that can lead to really great acting moments.
yeah.
But there is less, you can't hide very much, and like the camera doesn't like pick up the slack, right? Which is good, but can also make it a little bit, some scenes it's like, okay, this is whatever.
It can be a bit dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just like the handling of pacing.
Yep.
They want to do it maybe with like that slow southern pacing of theater in that way. It just like it's tricky to do on film.
Yes.
Yeah. So really quick though, May.
I have thoughts, if I may.
Yeah.
May. I hated her.
Yeah.
Well, let me develop my thoughts. I hated her from the beginning, and every time she was on screen, I was like, "Why are you doing this? I don't understand." But it did kind of crystallize in her final scene with Lenny, where she's a little more herself. She's a little more personable. But I also realized I'm pretty sure the director, she was given the direction to be that wild and like out there with her character, to show that she doesn't belong there, that she is someone not of their world that is causing friction,
Yeah. Well, a caged animal, right?
Yes.
I think she even describes herself in a similar way.
Yeah. And when I kind of put that frame over it, I was like, okay, I begrudgingly appreciate what you're doing then.
Yeah. I had a funny thing happen. I don't know about y'all's, but I watched this movie on YouTube's. It's on YouTube. And right at her final scene with Lenny, spoilers, it something shifted in the recording or something of it, and her voice went from being like the singing in the rain, like joke bad voice of like, "You fellas don't ever do anything with me." Like it went from being that to being like, "Well, you're not such a bad guy, are you?" Like it suddenly was like a normal voice. I wondered if that was just something on the YouTube's thing or if it was an act. Did you get that effect as well?
There were a few scenes, actually, I think with her in particular, where when they were switching between takes, they clearly had different mic setups between the two like sets of equipment, so it just like completely picked up different timbres in her voice than the other equipment did. Yeah.
So essentially, once she was in her last scene, which is also for me some of her best work in it, it fixed her voice thing, and then I was like, like you do know how to act.
Oh yeah.
Okay, for sure.
Of course.
Because I had a suspicion you could.
This launched her to stardom.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, good for you, May. We're just gonna let it go. We're just gonna.
Her name's Betty Field.
No one cares. So great. Someone cares.
Is that another bell?
Yeah, the other one wasn't supposed to go.
Okay.
It like crashed midway.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna take a little break here, which means I can sort that out. But also, maybe another little ad will play.
Maybe.
Yay! Woo! See you soon. Fantastic. So let's carry on and jump into our fourth round, which is our shorter round of rewatchability. Does it have any of that quality?
I mean, I would say right off the bat, depending, not assuming where anyone else is going to go with this. Of Mice and Men is on YouTube. It's really easy to find. And honestly, you should probably watch it. You should probably just watch it. It's one of those films that you should just probably watch it.
Mm-hmm. But would you watch it again?
That is the thing.
Yeah. Like you have to imagine that the person did take that advice, and they were like, "Oh, it's right on YouTube," and they watched it, and then years went by, and by then Mousehunt is on YouTube too.
Right, because that will happen.
Eventually, I think everything will be on YouTube. All of us.
I mean, we're already on YouTube. So.
Our lives, our families, but like everything we do.
Subscribe.
Living in a digital world.
Smash that bell.
It's just gonna be. There's just gonna be a camera, like cameras in our homes, and you can just literally like stream into anyone's home at any time. Is the future probably?
I'm gonna go Lenny myself. Excuse me.
Okay, rewatchability. I think that I would. Well, I think I would watch Of Mice and Men again, just because I think there were enough scenes that had enough meat to them that I would get more out of a second watch, because there weren't these extreme close-ups and everything, and there were all these medium shots, and like all the actors can act. Like I think there was enough happening that I would want to go back and watch. Okay, like what is this?
Right.
What is Lenny doing in this scene when George and Skip are talking, or like what is, and like just to kind of get a sense. And there were enough shots and enough scenes that were like just so like, oh man, like that is a really well framed. Like that's such a great. There was a scene where two of them were talking, George and Skip, and like in a window. And anyways, it was just like little things like that. I know I would probably watch this movie again. But at the same time, it was kind of hard to watch, and it was a little dry. Like,
yeah,
it was, it was exhausting in a different way than Mousehunt was.
And yes, both films were a bit exhausting. But Mousehunt, I'm just picturing myself. I'm at a party, and people are all, like the classic. Let's put on a movie that like someone hasn't seen before in the group. I'm probably gonna say Mousehunt over Of Mice and Men in that situation, but that's a very particular situation.
No, but picture this though, because this could be cool too. Cool too. Because if you're in this future they're projecting, if you have like a cool little loft space, right?
Right.
And it's the kind of party where you have like a movie projected with no sound
Ooh.
while the party's going on. Mousehunt's really fun. That's a weird eclectic choice to have like on the wall, like it's like projected over like some furniture as well. Like it's.
But Of Mice and Men would also be kind of cool to just have projected silently too, though.
But which drugs are people doing? Because like
all of them, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say also, I think it's fun with this question to like look at potential futures and go, okay, I think there's a version where I'm like an older man. Like I feel like I'm gonna hit like 67, and like I'm gonna feel the need.
You're
to
gonna
put
die
on...
way before that.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
But imagining, I feel like I would have the need to like put on Of Mice and Men and be
Right.
like, yeah,
To find your
Yeah.
your place in life or something.
yeah.
Yeah. Because
And,
we'll
like,
we'll have gone through 2 depressions by that point.
Because we've gone through like like 2/3 of one.
Oh, I just mean from this point to when you're 67, we'll have another 2 more
Right.
depressions probably. So
Right.
Another pandemic.
yeah,
another-
I mean probably.
Yeah. Well, this will be the moment when Jack is like, it's the world is too cruel for him to live in,
Right.
and
Yeah.
Sean will be over with a pistol to put Jack, and then
like,
and
and
before I go,
We'll
I
live
need
off
to
the
watch
fat of the
something.
land, Jack. We'll live off the fat of the land.
Damn.
Keep looking out there. Keep looking out the window.
The future where I lose my optimism and Sean puts a bullet in my head, you have to know that's a dark fucking future.
Yeah. I'm here for it.
I just want you to know I'm a pretty chipper lad. Like that's rough.
That's got to be a podlet where we all sit down and talk about, when the time comes, who's going to put the pistol to each other's head.
Okay.
That'll be a pod.
Perfect.
So glad we ended on that.
Yeah, there we go. Fantastic. Oh boy. Well, yeah. To start off scoring, we're going to scoring with rewatchability. I think my point. I think it does go to Of Mice and Men.
Yeah?
I think it does. Mousehunt is something that unfortunately in this category already has a saturation in my life. I saw it a number of times growing up, which maybe is a point in its favor, but like, I don't know. It's just seeing it now. It's like I get it.
Yeah.
Like I was done watching it. Like Of Mice and Men is slow. It's like eating, like how they do like the mini wheat things in the UK. It's one big one.
Yep.
It's like eating one of those that's plain flavored with no moisture, like in its entirety. But Mousehunt, I was done with it. Like I was kind of over it after I'm certain the 70-minute mark.
Yeah. At least Of Mice and Men is a meal, right? Even though it's
Yeah.
right? Like Mousehunt, it's just a plate with some crumbs on it, right? Like,
Yeah. It's a bit paper mache. Someone made a
I'm going Mousehunt.
damn.
I'm going to go Mousehunt. I think purely because I do want to watch Of Mice and Men again, but I want to watch the 92 version with Tim Robbins and Gary Sinise, I think. Tim Robbins is Lenny.
John Malkovich.
John Malkovich. Oh, John Malkovich, right. John Malkovich.
Oh, that's way better than Gary Sinise.
Right.
Gary Sinise is George.
Yeah, no, John Malkovich, not
Oh.
Tim Robbins.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But I want to see that, and honestly, I'll probably like read the book sometime soon because I feel like we should all read Steinbeck before the next depression hits, so that we kind of get a feel for that. But Mousehunt, I did kind of have a better time watching. I love Christopher Walken's role in this. I just love how he went full bore into the thing. Anyways, that's me.
Yeah. And Adam?
Well, oh man, that's tough. I think, although it's very, very close, I'm gonna have to go with Of Mice and Men as well.
Right on.
Mousehunt, there were moments that were more fun than I thought they would be,
Yeah.
but I think that it just doesn't quite succeed at what it's trying to do. Like, it just misses the mark enough
Yeah.
that it just ends up like we don't know whether we're supposed to laugh with them or at them throughout the movie.
Yeah.
So the humor doesn't really land properly. Like, it just doesn't quite make it, and it just makes it like hard to I don't think I would ever put it on again. Really.
Kind of like I said earlier, where it's like, I don't know who I'm supposed to root for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone,
And I think-
yeah.
And I think that's a problem in the overall watch of the movie. Because I think we're supposed to root for the mouse. I think.
Yes, I think we are.
But it's tricky because the movie starts with the two brothers with an aim at pathos of their father has died and We want them to be brothers again, don't we? They're down on their luck. Like they get the whole hero's journey. So the mouse is the evil villain. Like it's just weird.
Yeah. It's structurally it's not well done. Which should lead us into story, I guess.
Let's talk story then. Sure, Sean demands it so.
Of Mice and Men.
Of Mice and Men.
Yeah.
This category.
Of Mice and Men.
Clean sweep.
Though Alan's story, one little point that I found the ending. Maybe it was the music, maybe because it was late at night, but the impact of the tragedy just like didn't really hit like the same way that it did with the dog earlier.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, this is like a tragedy, but
they prolonged the ending at that point too. I kind of wanted, honestly, I wanted one more scene where we see George planting seeds in his home that he and Candy now live in with the other ranch hand, but him having no joy and no happiness whatsoever or something like that as he's planting the fields. I wanted that, right?
Right. Yeah. I think part of it is also just how it was shot, with limits of how it could be shot. Like they couldn't show people getting killed or something, right? Like they had to pull the camera over also so they could, because they weren't going to do that effect.
Yeah.
I know
also took all the swears out of the book, right? Isn't the book just like laden with cuss words?
I don't think it's too bad.
Not too bad.
From what I remember. I know it's often done in like early high school, so I don't think it would be too. Maybe there's some stuff that now it's not like that,
right?
Considered
not
a
so
cuss,
PC.
it's the old school language, but yeah, maybe there's some like racist stuff with.
I believe there would be.
Yeah, for sure.
Some swears for high schoolers? No, swearing leads to drugs or something.
Yeah, and babies.
I never understood why people care about swearing so much.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Of Mice and Men seems to win that round.
All right.
Again, now we got some tricky ones coming up. Production.
It is tricky, but I'm gonna lean Mousehunt. I think it was, for as much as there was, it was still pretty seamless and inventive, and not saying that Of Mice and Men wasn't inventive, but I think there was more inventiveness in Mousehunt.
Adam, what do you say?
I think I'm also gonna say Mousehunt. There were moments that didn't land, but there were enough. Like there were some good shots that and I think there was enough to it, and it was just so much of like what the movie was, right? Like the story, there was like nothing, but they made up for that with so much of the practical effects and the set design, and so I think I have to.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And like if I'm Mousehunt as well. Like if you were an emerging student of cinema, I would say watch Of Mice and Men to learn about story and characters from a really old, grounded place.
Mm-hmm.
And watch Mousehunt to learn about inventiveness and like true creativity and applying. I have to imagine an incredible team to making some of those
Huge
shots
team.
work.
Yeah.
Like, it's so playful. Like I almost would have loved a whole movie that's just from like the mouse perspective of just like giant nails in that world, because it was so fun to watch.
That's
that
great.
stuff.
I mean, I guess you got Stuart Little for that or something.
Yeah, pass.
Yeah. Should we do our wild card next and skip acting?
Ooh.
We're tied. Oh no, it's 2-1 for Of Mice and Men right now.
I'm going to say let's push on to acting.
Okay.
I think the wild card can be a wild card this week.
Okay.
Because I'll start off leading in with the drama. I'm going to say Mousehunt.
Ooh.
As much as I think there are some fine performances, like truly fine performances within Of Mice and Men, I think it is more scattered. Like I think it's also a thing you see at that time, like just people have different ideas of what acting is. So you get Candy, but you also deal with Turley, and then like it's just like these weird things. And May was really hard to watch, What I loved actually about the acting and the performances in Mousehunt is that it seemed pretty unified. Like there was
Yeah.
a similar idea of what the shtick was and how they were doing it.
There was no cringe performance, really.
Yeah, and even like little side characters like April, right? His wife. Is that
Oh,
her
his
name?
wife. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
April or Summer or something like that. She was playing this kind of Christine Baranski, shtick of like the oh, I see what's happening, and then getting on it. I really enjoyed the high bidder guy who was like, I've never paid more than 10 millions for a house.
He was
Like,
great.
I just I enjoyed him
And Christopher Walken being
and Christopher
the
Walken.
fucking man.
And
Yeah.
and what's the mayor's name? Like I just thought everyone who had a bit to play played it really well.
You're
And-
convincing me.
And it like again, this movie would be true schlock if not for a rather unified performance from the cast. So that's why I'm saying Mousehunt. So I take the collective performance
That's-
over some individuals.
That's why I'm saying Mousehunt too. Adam.
I won't be so easily swayed. No, I'm torn. I don't know, because that was a very compelling argument, and that managed to save, like, if that acting piece wasn't solid and cohesive, like the movie slipping into true schlock. Billy, I think I'm gonna. It's tough.
If you make an argument for Of Mice and Men, I may be swayed back. So
No,
like,
don't, no.
Well, I mean, my argument for Of Mice and Men is really just like candy. But I think I'm gonna also have to go with Mousehunt.
all right.
Even though it somewhat pains me to say that for some reason.
Yeah, there's something deep in my soul that is dead now, but like whatever.
Yeah.
Like lovely individual performances. Like even again the farmhand in Of Mice and Men, I thought he was really grounded and different.
Yeah.
But it was still just like an individual performance. The whole thing just wasn't quite put together with each other. That's what I found.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree.
Well, we're tied going into the wild card.
So wild card, I had a really basic wild card. I'm going to tell you what it was and know that it was thrown out so that it better sets up.
Okay, so
how
this is
wild
not
the
the
real-
wild card.
This is not it. Because originally I was like, which is the worst reality to live in? You know what I mean? Like where you're being hunted by a mouse, or where you're like living in the depression and it's
The
abysmal.
depression.
Like your life is terrible, or you don't want to believe. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I was like, but I was like, kind of on the nose.
Yeah.
So my new wild card question is, which of these movies and the characters involved would you rather join the MCU?
Fuck you.
In you can imagine upcoming the Doctor Strange multiverse.
that one of these movies embodied within a character exists now in the MCU.
like Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch visit these characters while
Right.
passing through dimensions.
I mean, it's gonna
Like-
happen. And as soon as Disney obtains the rights to both Mousehunt and Of Mice and Men, Lenny's gonna show up in fucking Avengers 12.
you're gonna have a whole like spin-off series just about Doctor Strange being trapped in 1939.
All right. Okay, who's the best? Which one deserves? Sorry, phrase the question again.
Which one would you rather join the MCU?
I'd rather join the MCU.
Like the characters, I hate to imagine that, like, like essentially, you're watching the end of Endgame, and all the characters are appearing, and included in that montage are the characters
Right.
from one of these movies.
So I am choosing purely because I think the Marvel universe needs to be brought down a little bit. I am choosing Of Mice and Men, and the superhero will be named Party Pooper. And all he does is just bring the conversations down real bad.
No, they're not even superheroes. It's
No,
just
but
like
this
the
is how
characters. And I mean, the portals are opening to face
Right.
Thanos, and fucking outwalked Lee Evans and Nathan Lane with a mouse on his shoulder.
No, I think the Marvel Universe people need to see the downtrodden people of the Depression era Steinbeck universe, so that they can realize that their squabbles are putting at jeopardy the trillions of lives that exist in the universe.
The ordinary people get worked in a bit more.
Yeah, like, oh, maybe you should calm the fuck down, Iron Man.
I think I'm gonna vote for Mousehunt. Just because I would be down to see slapstick, just out of place slapstick enter the MCU in a way that feels kind of wrong.
Right.
And the mouse just becomes a through line character in the movies. There's just one shot of the mouse in every movie.
Right.
But how they get integrated, I don't fully know. But just that world starts to permeate that universe is something that I think, because also I kind of hate the MCU now, I think.
Yeah, don't we all?
It's over. It's done. I think we all agree it's done.
No, we have 12 more years of this at least.
Oh, geez. So I would enjoy, I think, that element. So
Adam, you're Kingmaker this week.
No, why? Last time I was in a similar position where I could make it a tie between Star Trek and Star Wars, or tip it over to Star Trek.
There's no ties here, baby.
Oh, Billy, but this one's even worse because I can't make it a tie. All right, I'm gonna have to go with that wild card. I think I would also have to go with Mousehunt because
whoa,
that mouse being at granting boons on this super hyper intelligent overlord being that is actually the one pulling all the strings with all the Avengers and stuff. I don't know. I just that's my jam.
Wow.
So. And just the main bidder just being Tony Stark has not enough millions to do this.
Yeah, he's one of the bad guys for one of the he's a minor villain.
Yeah, he becomes a pseudo kingpin.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Well, damn. Well, that's it. That means with a score of very, very tight 3-2.
Oh, so tight.
So tight. Of just such creamed pies.
Oh.
Such tight.
Now I have to click the explicit button.
And we're just talking about food and scoring. But with a score of 3-2, the Citizen Kane of the week is...
You have to think like a mouse.
Mousehunt. And this picks up at all. Damn, that is that's a surprise.
That's gonna be one of those things where years from now someone will be like, "Fuck you! You picked Mousehunt over of Mice and Men, you piece of shit."
We lose out on a job because no, I heard your fucking podcast.
I heard you're stupid. I was one of the 5 people that listened to it.
I know what you fuckers are all about.
Of Mice and Men.
I've seen Wise Guys before. Though you're not gonna don't go pulling anything on me. I've seen Wise Guys like you.
We're in the mob apparently.
By that point, to make jokes with the MCU is sacrilege because we've all the MCU has expanded and captured real life.
Disney has finally unified church and state under its wing.
Yeah, so we're wearing VR headsets and the MCU is a live existence.
Cool. Can't wait. Hey, I mean, there are ups and downs. Yeah. What are our next films, Jack?
Yeah. So picks for next week, or next episode. So, there's some stuff on the horizon. We got some fun kind of actiony vibes. There's maybe a sports vibe, or children's fairy tale vibes.
Ooh.
And we've done some actiony stuff, so I think not that one.
Okay.
I feel we've done some kind of kids-esque movies, so maybe not the fairy tale one. I think that'll be fun at some point. I think we should do the sporty one. So I'm going to say next episode is going to be Slapshot versus Goon.
Nice.
This is a fan request, this episode, from one of our dedicated listeners. So I think it's good. I think we should do it. I think it'll be fun. I've seen neither of these movies, which is rare for...
I think I watched Goon on the Movie Network once.
Okay, quit bragging.
Hey, it's
Hot
my
shot.
credentials. I also watch Hot Shots on the Movie Network.
Well, thanks so much, Adam, for coming on.
I got a little surprise segment, a little update. Let's call her an update.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, Adam, if you've listened to our Steven Seagal episode yet, but first update. I discovered that there is a term for what sniper special ops is. That kind of movie where you get a movie star that was really big, maybe 20, 15 years ago, and you pay them a butt ton of cash to just be in 5 minutes, 10 minutes of your film. It is called a geezer teaser. And right now, the unquestioned champion of the geezer teaser is Bruce Willis. In the past 2 years, he's made about 8 or 9 films where he just appears for a couple scenes and has an earpiece in his ear, and they're feeding him the lines live, and they probably give him $1 million to show up for the day, kind of thing. Anyway, so Steven Seagal. I thought I'd give an update. So I found some more wonderful Steven Seagal work that I just wanted to share publicly with everyone. So here is he started his own energy drink company about 10, 12 years ago or so, and hopefully they don't tag us for you. There's a song in the background, so this might get killed, but here is Steven Seagal's energy drink advertisement. Enjoy.
Hey there, we want to tell you about Steven Seagal's new energy drink. It's called Lightning Bolt. It's 100% natural and it tastes just great. In fact, it's so good, he likes swimming in it.
How's it going, baby?
Boss, I've got another 2,000 cans to go to fill this pool.
Man, I feel so sorry for you, but you know what? I really wanted to swim in Steven Seagal's lightning bolt with you.
Yeah, but you know I love doing it, because I love you.
I love you too, baby.
Lightning Bolt is a unique energy drink. It's the first of its kind. With 100% pure juice blends and is the only energy drink to contain Tibetan goji berries and Asian cordyceps. And it hits the spot every time.
Now we can both swim in Steven Seagal's lightning bolt pool.
Oh, baby, thank you, man. You do the right thing.
Darling.
You are so sweet. Everybody just see that?
Steven! I forgot one! I found it at the bottom of the pool.
Lightning Bolt comes in 2 delicious flavors, Asian Experience and Cherry Charge. So why not give your taste buds a real thrill?
Привет, дорогая.
Привет, дорогой. Это тебе.
Спасибо.
Сестричка, я сейчас к тебе присоединюсь. Милый, могу я пойти и поплавать в латинговой водичке?
Конечно. It's good to be the king, isn't it? And guess what? This could happen to you if you drank Lightning Bolt.
Lightning Bolt. Try it today. It's electric.
Anyways, so the bit in Russian for those listening was another hot girl walks up and gives him dinner and then says she's going to go jump in the pool with her sister.
Her sister.
Yeah. Steven Seagal.
And he says, "Spasiba, baby."
You owe us an apology.
I would love to get my hands on the Asian Experience flavor.
What a name for a drink.
With real Tibetan goji berries and what? Something
I don't know, Chinese cacao or something.
Cordyceps?
Yeah.
Isn't the cordyceps virus like the fungus that grows out of ants' heads?
Yeah, it is definitely a type of fungus, yeah.
So,
yep.
What?
I mean, it's probably like heroin and like chlorine or something, you know?
But Jack, you too can be the king
Yeah, it's good to be
if
the
you
king.
drink lightning bolt.
Hey man, you could be the king, man. You just drink this Tibetan lightning bolt, and you can have 2.
I love that the pool was like in a state of disrepair, like it was just like someone's slummy backyard.
It was definitely just his like 4th house in Malibu or something.
And they shot it in a way that it was back and forth. That I was like, oh, that girl in the pool and him are in different places, and they're just filming it back and forth like they're in the same place, but they're not. And then they had a shot where they got together, and I was like,
Got together.
You just filmed it weird?
Because it's lit differently, too. He's lit differently than she is. It looks like a totally different place, but nope, it's the same place. Anyways, thank you for humoring me. I'm hoping to make this a recurring segment where we check in on Steven Seagal. Let's check in on Steven Seagal.
A podcast within a podcast.
Yeah.
Steven Seagal check-in. Yeah. Well, thank you again, Adam, for coming on. A pleasure, as always. And thank you, Sean, for that little surprise that will haunt my dreams and delight my nightmares for months to come.
Yeah. Now, hopefully YouTube doesn't kick us for using a Steven. That song was also Steven Seagal, by the way. I should have mentioned that. Yeah.
Shut your hot mouth, Sean. Oh my God.
Piece of shit.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.